You saw the title, and I'll make this very brief. So, Pyrrhus is a Goki commander. That alone in itself should tell you he's not great in the endgame. And we'll go quickly over their skills to see why. But overall, if you're someone who is a low spender, free to play, you should not be investing into this commander. Just for that reason alone. But we'll go over their skills very briefly. Like the damage factor is too low for endgame. I do like the normal attack damage, but which also increases your counter attack damage, but I believe it's not enough. Second skill is an interesting skill. It has potential for auxiliary skills in the Siege of Orleans KVK, but if you're running, if you're only running one infantry march, and if you want to use the skill, I think Charles Martel's skill is just the best, and you can't beat it even with him, because Charles offers you infantry defense, health, and march speed and expertise. It's just too good to pass on. Maybe if you're running a couple infantry marches, like one or two or three actually, then maybe, but overall, not that impressed. Third skill is, I don't know, not. I know there's a shield synergy now with a lot of infantry commanders, which could make it good. In the end game, maybe with someone like Scipio, but I think at that point you will have better options. Now, fourth skill is honestly the most interesting one out of the bunch because it is universal. So if you're in a Siege of Orleans KVK, you can use the skill on pretty much any commander because it is a skill damage meta and it always be useful. And also has a shield narrative as well. So with someone like Scipio, it could be very good. But the downside is it's on the fourth skill and it's not that easily accessible to get it maxed. So that is a downfall there. And expertise is just okay. I think this feels like a rally skill in my opinion. And overall, we don't know his relic buff, which could be good, but unless I think of to make it really good if they add a damage relic, like a damage factor, which will make him maybe viable. But overall, I'm not that impressed. I think his best role will be in the Siege of Orleans KVK as part of an auxiliary skill system. But to get those skills, you will need like a year to get it. Personally, I might not even unlock all of his skills and just try to get this fourth skill maxed because I will never use him on the field, so I don't care about the active skill. And that's probably it. Now talking about briefly about the epic, it's an epic commander. We're gonna have it maxed eventually. It's just a matter of time. Active skill is kinda unusual because you gain a shield. There's no damage factor. You're just absorbing, and you're just giving more march speed to just infantry. Which, when you look at it, the third skill, which is the best skill in this commander, it's all about garrison. So the only part which applies is the shield factor, which is not that great. But if you pair him with someone like Sun Tzu primary, so Sun Tzu primary, Pericles secondary, I think in the early game that'll be a very, very good garrison. But that's about it. These commanders look very similar to last year's Egypt, with the epic having garrison tree, and the legendary also has like an open field and a rally focus. I still believe Thutmose is the better legendary when comparing to Pyrrhus because he does more relevant stats and has a really good debuff, which is a skill damage debuff, and skill damage is the meta. So for that reason, I think he's better. But he suffers the same fate as Pyrrhus. Like Thutmose is really good in the first KVK or two, and then his value drops significantly. So that for that at least for that reason alone, I don't think you should invest in these commanders. Just slowly roll them, form the gold keys. As you can see in my Thutmose, it's been a year since he came out, and I only have like 5-4 from gold keys. And I used his skill in the Siege of Orleans KVK, and I really was happy with it because it looks really good, and it was good. And I think that is the role of Pyrrhus, which his second skill is not as good, in my opinion. I do like normal attack damage, but I would prefer if this skill was second, like the switch places. And funny enough, I don't have him unlocked yet. I've been away, but even when I get him unlocked, I will not be potentially excited because there's just going to be another number in the lineup. So to slowly recap, it's do not invest in these commanders unless you're like a big spender and you're planning to rally in the first KVK or two with someone like Martel or Alex, or if you want to avoid investing in too many commanders, or ideally you don't want to spend a single sculptures before you reach KVK 3, before you reach the meta commanders where you can fully invest and get some leverage that way. Epics, not that great in the early game as Garrison, and that's about it. Pyrrhus, a decent rally and open field in the first KVK or 2, but his value drops significantly once you reach KVK 3. If you liked the video, subscribe. I'll be making another video in this week regarding our KVK, and join our Discord. A lot of information to be had there about new commanders, about the new meta, equipment, talent trees, and so on and so forth. And I will see you in the next one.